Good afternoon and welcome to News Hour on the SLBC with me, Kojo Kwafu. Coming up in News Hour this noontime, a fire incident at Malama Thomas Street destroys shops with merchandise worth millions of leones. As countries observe World Wetlands Day, Sierra Leone is losing a significant portion of its own salt and freshwater wetlands. And also in the news this afternoon, disqualified aspirants of the SLFA presidency and vice presidency threaten to go to court. These stories and more, but first, our coronavirus preventive message.
You see where them people here wear them mask them fine? Well, now so you say for wear your mask. Cover your nose and you much all time where you dey near other person.
We will bring you the story about that fire incident at Malama Thomas Street. But first, a growing freshwater crisis threatens people and the planet. We use more fresh water than nature can replenish, and we're destroying the ecosystem that water and all life depends on, mostly wetlands. Well, every year, the 2nd of February is celebrated as World Wetlands Day, and it is a global event to raise awareness about the importance of wetlands for people and the planet. Sierra Leone, however, is losing a significant portion of its own salt and freshwater wetlands by the removal of mangroves and other coastal vegetation. Well, to emphasize on these threats, Harold Williams visited 6 coastal locations where there is potential for improved management of the most important plant found in wetlands.
Mangroves are the most prominent vegetation to be found along the coast. Mangroves are impervious to salt and have evolved as the natural barrier which prevents coastal erosion and the intrusion of the sea into the land. This is the coastland of Sei, one of the Turtle Islands located on the offshore portion of Dema Chiefdom, Bonth District. One can see how close the inland freshwater lagoon is situated to the open sea. Mangroves help ensure that islands and coastal environments continue to have fresh water, but this delicate balance is under threat on this small island. Nyangai, one of the other Turtle Islands, is separated in 2 halves by the tides. The residential portions of these islands are protected by a minimal strip of mangrove vegetation, and without more being planted, Nyangai and other neighboring islands are under threat of dissolving into the Atlantic Ocean. Mangroves, therefore, protect the fragile nature of islands, serving as a barrier to high tides and against increasing sea levels due to climate change. However, like many places along the world's tropical coastlines, mangroves have been ravaged for different purposes. Here in Conakry D of Kafubulum Chiefdom, the proximity of the population to the mangroves has created pressure on these adjacent sources of firewood. In especially fishing-based communities like Conakry D, decades of mangrove destruction have left vast areas without this protective vegetation. Throughout Kaboro Chiefdom in Moyamba District, the estimated quantity of mangroves lost to land reclamation is at least 10,000 hectares. This is according to the Sierra Leone Artisanal Fishermen's Union, which is opposed to mangrove removal because these areas also serve as the spawning ground for fish. SLBC witnessed voluntary efforts being undertaken by environmentalists like the Sierra Leone Artisanal Fishermen's Union to begin replanting the lost mangroves. This gathering in Yondu, Moyamba District, addressed task force members assembled from 30 communities to identify the planting material for mangroves for the purpose of replanting. The Moyamba and Bonth districts have the greater quantity of mangroves contained in Sierra Leone's portion of the Grand Mano landscape, but the western area also contains significant mangrove reserves which are part of the Sierra Leone River estuary. Laka is a tourist location that has suffered from coastline erosion due to sand mining. Mangroves to be replanted here would help reaffix the sand dunes. Hamilton has lost even more beach to sand mining, but there is more potential for restoration in the area of Hamilton located for tourism development. Tumbo, along the Yari Bay, embodies all the threats posed against the mangroves with its own visibly vast areas of degradation. For coastal communities in Sierra Leone and elsewhere, the ecosystem services provided by the mangroves are visible game changers for freshwater provision, food security, aquaculture, fishing, and tourism. These are the economic drivers which underscore the importance of mangroves and the need for their protection. Especially for the Turtle Islands, a natural disaster influenced by climate change cannot be defended against unless the coastline is comprehensively revegetated.
Now let's bring you that story about that fire incident at Malama Thomas Street that has destroyed shops and merchandise worth millions of leones. Well, according to reports, the fire broke out late morning of Monday and its cause is, well, unknown. SLBC team rushed to the scene where Nazir Commander Bonge, the chief fire officer, had this to say.
Well, I mean, this particular house is as a result of radiant heat that came because of the burning of houses down here. Apparently around 4 or so, around that 4 or 5 yesterday, we had call that houses down here, down this bay area, were on fire. And then we responded. We actually extinguished the fire. Yeah. But during the course of the fire, this particular house was now suffering, absorbing more energy. Yeah. And so even after the firefighting, we asked the people who have the shops to open up the shop, allow the place to be ventilated, allow the place to be cool up. But then they refused. They are too reluctant to, follow our free body materials, wood material, paper material, rubber material. These are all free burning material, vulcanized rubber and all of that. So and they are stopped. It's not when I say paper and wood, like when I talk about wood, this is a shop that they normally sell. They sell furniture as well, this office furniture. So you have some of them stock there. You have piles of office equipment, computers and whatever. So yeah, it's a whole lot of free burning material burning out there. We have not suspected any highly combustible material though, because there have been no explosion to suggest that highly combustible material.
Well, Sulaiman Babature, one of our journalists, was at the scene and is here with me in the studio this afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome to News Hour, Sulaiman.
Good afternoon, sir.
It's rather unfortunate what happened there, and according to the chief fire officer, it seems that they know the cause of this fire and it must have been caused by some electrical fault. Is that so?
Well, according to what we got from the people that we are there, the community people, especially the chairman of the community, he told us that really they've not found out yet what really caused the fire, because according to him, it was at the police station. When he came, he saw the fire. He tried to see how best they could cool down the situation, but they were unable, even himself.
And who said that?
The chairman of the community. The
chairman of the community. But then we have the chief fire officer saying that that particular residence must have been consuming more energy, and once the chief fire officer says something like that, what we are made to believe is that it's either some electrical malfunction must have happened, or probably the stealing light or something like that, which we're not sure of anyway.
What he was saying really is that at first the fire started at the houses down the story building that is presently burning. and they tried to quench down the fire, but because of the heat that was climbing to the story building, and they told the shop owners to at least open their shops, because it was on Sunday yesterday, to open their shops so that at least they will get some air. But they refused until they started seeing smoke coming. So they rushed and called fire for that. Oh, this thing is getting out of hands.
So it must be that something fishy there. That's why they didn't want to open their shops. Is that it?
I can't say really.
Or they didn't want people to rush in and steal their
maybe.
Yeah. But according to reports, also millions worth of merchandise was lost. You know, what sort of merchandise are we talking about?
Well, stationaries, furniture, you know, a lot of things that are like rubber materials, you know, computers and other stuffs.
And most importantly, were there any fatalities?
As of now, no. Only properties.
Properties?
Yeah.
And were there any injuries?
No.
Nobody suffered any
injury, no.
As well.
Yeah.
So just how many houses, you know, were gorged?
3 to 4 apart from the story building that with shops, and the building it's a threat now. For now, that building is a threat, and people need to avoid that particular area, because
are people still residing there?
And no, presently, no, because they are still trying to see that they take some of these things out, the remaining
belongings.
Yeah.
And what is it like for those that have been affected by this fire?
Well, they are asking governments to help them, especially the community people, you know, so that they could at least have places to lay their heads, you know.
Yeah, it must be very, very difficult for them. Nobody wishes a fire incident on anyone. It's very, very distasteful.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Sulaiman, for coming on News Hour this afternoon.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Now, still to come on News Hour, senior staff of the Connaught Hospital complain of their needs in the country's biggest referral hospital. Today is World Hijab Day. We shall look at the significance of the Islamic headscarf to Muslim women, and Connaught District Emergency Response Center escalates its supervision to prevent new cases in Connaught District. This and more are all lined up in the program this afternoon. Alright, we'll continue with news. Senior staff of Connaught Hospital have complained of their needs, ranging from shortage of drugs, lack of functional dialysis unit, to high-flow oxygen machines in the country's biggest referral hospital. Well, these complaints were made to the Acting Minister of Health and Sanitation, Dr. Anthony Sandi, who was on a tour of the facility to assess the reality on the ground. Sui Ibrahim Kamara was with the Minister, and he now reports. We seem to be having some technical problem with that insert there, but we promise we'll bring it to you in due course of this program. Moving on, the Deputy National Interim Coordinator, NACOVAC, Sheku Conte, has commented that political leadership in the COVID-19 response architecture has to date played a very significant role in keeping the spread of the virus in check through the collaborative efforts of all the various pillars. The Deputy National Interim Coordinator was speaking at the COVID-19 Operations, Logistics and ICT Intra-Action Review held at the Freetown International Conference Center, Bintumani Hotel. As Ibrahim Samura reports, the review was organized by NACOVAC with support from Chemonix.
Sierra Leone is one of the first countries in the world to undertake intra-action review at the height of an emergency like the novel coronavirus pandemic. According to health experts, intra-action review serves as checkmates in identifying successes, challenges and lessons learned in any public health emergency. This COVID-19 intra-action review targeted 4 pillars in the COVID-19 response architecture, which were ICT, security and operations, logistics non-medical, and logistics medical pillars. Pillar leads during the review presented their achievement, challenges and recommendations to NACOVAC. Lead Coordinator COVID-19 Intra-Action Review, Joseph Bunting-Graydon, said the review was designed to take stock on achievement and lessons learned in the fight against the pandemic.
Critical interventions, even in ICT and also other good equipment were in place, strategies in place, mechanisms in the surveillance that also aided this, because surveillance is so critical in all of this response. If we haven't got it right, after the lessons learned from the Ebola, we would have missed it. But because we learned it during the Ebola, the surveillance were able to search, you understand, pool resources and use them at the initial phase, deploy, their personnel.
The response architecture quite recently conducted a technical intra-action review to have comprehensive analysis of systems and processes to provide lasting solutions to the COVID-19 response.
You will agree with me that the response architecture rose to the occasion of keeping the number of COVID-19 cases down, save for May, June 2020, when we saw a spike in infections, until the festive season, which saw a dramatic increase in the number of cases that warranted a decisive action by the Presidential Task Force to reintroduce a number of restrictions on the 25th of January 2020.
The Deputy National Interim Coordinator NACOVAC, Sheku Conte, described the COVID-19 intra-action review as very critical, especially in this second wave of the response.
We are moving into vaccines. We are far advanced as a country in making requests for COVAX to enter into the vaccine space. Certainly, it's a very complex space and we require a lot of logistics, right from the manufacturing farm to the end user that will be vaccinated eventually. Full chain architecture and all the like.
Various pillar leads catalog several achievements NACOVAC has made in the response, citing the political will, the establishment of quarantine homes and treatment centers, providing timely drugs and medicines to treatment centers and installation of Zoom technology in all the COVAX centers across the country. The pillar leads also recommended the need to integrate all ICT systems, improve on communications and effective collaboration in all pillars. It could be noted that this is the 44th week of the coronavirus pandemic in the country, with over 3,000 confirmed positive cases, over 70 deaths, and 2,187 recoveries. Ibrahim Samora, Freetown.
The Sierra Leone Football Association is presently in a brouhaha as a result of the disqualification of certain people who had thrown their hats into the ring. Well, two prominent names among those who've been disqualified by the SLFA Electoral Committee are the former Leinster's captain Mohamed Kalon, who wanted to run for the presidency of the SLFA, and Kashaw Holland Cole, who wanted to go for the vice presidency. Well, the two men have threatened to go to court to challenge the committee's decision to disqualify them. Earlier in a sister program, The Podium, Zulayatu Ahmed spoke to Ibrahim.
Don't podium.
Yeah, please go on. Yes.
Okay, so basically the election process is moving on smoothly, that I can say, by way of update. It's at the stage of looking into petitions against, potential candidates now. After which the official list of candidates of the SLFA elections will be published. Now, with regards to the issue you've just made mention of, in relation to Kashaw Holland Cole and Mohamed Kalon, the Electoral Committee took a decision to refuse their nomination. First of all, let me make this clear. we never had a situation wherein a member came forward to the FA to nominate Mohammed Kalou. There was a member of the FA, because first of all, the statute says to nominate a candidate, only a valid member can nominate a candidate. You understand? We had a situation where Western Area Rural came and they sat in front of the committee that was charged with the responsibility to receive the nomination submissions to nominate Casio Joel and Cole, for example. But we never had that kind of a situation for Mohammed Kalou. He came around, he wanted to be nominated, but then he heard about the issue of Western Area Urban, of which he was hoping to be nominated by. You understand? And once he had that issue, he never even came to the hall to say, I am here to be nominated. You understand that point? Now, for Casio and the others that actually came, Western Area Rural actually came and they sat in front of the committee to carry out that nomination. That nomination did not go through. And the reason is because the nomination by Western Area Rural needed a seconder according to the guidelines set by the Electoral Committee. And I'll read verbatim. The Article 6 of those guidelines says each nomination must be seconded by a member of SLFA. That is what it says, verbatim, from the Electoral Guideline. It was not done.
Okay.
Western Area Rural that came to nominate Casio is a regularized member. The one that was supposed to second his nomination, which was Western Area Urban, was not regularized as at that date, which was the deadline date, 5 p.m. the 8th of January 2021. So Casio Joel and Cole's nomination by Western Rural was rejected based on that. And it is in line with the statute, because the Electoral Committee have the responsibility to guide the process. So this is exactly what happened. So when that decision was taken, they appealed, and it is their constitutional right to do so. So they appealed. The Electoral Appeals Committee looked into the matter. They did the hearings. Several people were called, evidences were brought forward.
Was Ibrahim Kamara, Head of Media and Marketing SLFA, talking there to Zulaihat Ahmed during our sister program, The Podium. And also on that same program, one of the aggrieved persons, Alhaji Komba, who is the Secretary General of the FC Cologne Football Club, was also on the program, and he spoke to Zulaihat also.
And what is clear is the inconsistency and the selective justice on the part of the FA in dealing with the rights of the membership. As members, as enshrined in Article 10, we've got our rights. And the rights of members is clearly stated in Article 12 of the SLFA statute. Article 12(1)(c). Article 12(1)(c) says to nominate candidates for all bodies for SLFA to be elected. That is one of the rights of the members. We have the right as members to nominate candidates for SLFA executive to be elected. Article 12(1)(g) says to propose candidates for the independent committees to the executive committee. Yeah, this is our right. And for whatever reason, IBK must have advanced. I don't think it is but prudent for submission of incomplete documents to be a grounds for deprivation of right or disenfranchisement in a free and fair process or ongoing process. A lot of suspicions came out right from the start of the work of the Electoral Committee. At some point, we thought of the individuals who make up the committee and thought that we are going to do it in the best interest of Sierra Leone to protect our image and moreover to learn from the mistake in 2013, which had to sink down the reputation of the country's football down the drain. And we thought this was going to be a change around period where we could have all together helped to bounce it back from that sinking reputation. It has not happened. Now, he says the members, or Mohammed Kalon, for example, or Kashon. In fact, the thing is, they are just specific on those two people. 5 people we are deprived. We have Mombasa, who is from the north. We have Rugia Tusise Kuruma, former chairperson for the Kenema District FA. And we also have Batan Bangura, who is a member of Mighty Blackpool Football Club, one of the oldest in Sierra Leone. Just on the day of receiving nominations for positions as SLFA Secretariat, there were over 7 in the hall denying people's nominations, claiming on the instructions of the Electoral Committee. And he read a clause that says, there is the Electoral Committee that's got the responsibility to man the affairs of the electioneering process. So if you are there as a secretariat staff to receive nomination forms, I don't think, again, because the form is not complete or whatever claim you make on the issue of regularization, you have to deprive someone to say you're not going to contest. Because every issue of regularization or nomination has got a time period. Wherein, in Article 10, for example, it says, Article 10.4, you have, or regularization should be done within 30 days. That is, from coming into effect of the Constitution. If you want to claim that these people did it outside their mandate, then every other club, region, or district should not be accepted, because the constitution that they are working with now came into effect in 2019 in Putloko, and it's over 500 or whatever this. So how can you just deprive few people, you say, because they did not regularize within 1 week, when we've got the time period far past? Even the SLFA Secretariat will be held responsible for this. Yeah. Then the nomination process, again, in the very code, has to go through within 30 days, based on the very code. But here is a given situation on an electoral code that should not claim precedence over this constitution.
Well, that was Alhaji Komba, Secretary General of FC Kalon, making the case there for Mohammed Kalon. Well, another of those that were disqualified is Bathan Lamin Bangura. He was disqualified for the position of ex-officio, and he was nominated by the Mighty Blackpool Football Club. He's here with me in the studio to tell us more. Good afternoon and welcome to the program.
Yes, good afternoon, and good afternoon to the listeners and viewers out there.
All right. Bathan, why in the first place were you disqualified?
Well, I don't want to use the word disqualified. I think it's rejected. Because there's the first stage, the first step of several steps. Nomination. Firstly, I think the entire process was unfair and lacks transparency. Reason for this is simple. If we are talking about a transparent and fair process, I think the first step the electoral committee should have done was to call the membership to a meeting. Mind you,
the membership of
the football membership. Mind you, prior to this time, there have been acrimony, a lot of tension, etc., etc. And these members of this electoral committee are all Sierra Leoneans, academics, legal minds who have been residing in Sierra Leone all this while. They are very much aware of these ill happenings within the football family.
What ill happenings are you talking about?
I'm talking about the acrimony, the odd things, the infighting, the tension.
And is that what led to you being rejected?
Yeah, yes, because as I've said, these electoral committee members are supposed to be sensitive of all those things, and so first and first, they would have called the membership to a meeting and listen from them. But that never happened. What they did was to call the press. Yes, the press is very significant in this process. Of course, they take the news here and there. They take everywhere. And so, calling the membership would have been an opportunity to hear from them.
Okay, but then let's cut the chase. Now, if it's either, whenever something like this comes up and there are set criteria, it's either you meet the criteria or you don't meet the criteria for you to be nominated or appointed as or voted for. And according to what I heard, is that Mighty Blackpool Football Club put forward 2 nominations because they are factions. Is that what might have led to you being rejected?
That is absolutely incorrect. That is bad. I want to challenge whoever is making such statements that Mighty Blackpool has one executive. I used to be part of the previous or the immediate past executive
of Mighty Blackpool.
Of Mighty Blackpool, led by the Honorable Alpha Timo. And the honorable, I'm not talking about the controversy that led to him or us being handing over power to the current executive, but the fact remains that we handed over authority to the current executive, led by Sulaiman Zainu Parker. As I'm speaking here, I don't know of any other alternative or other fraction in terms of executive. There might be people that agree, they have their own difference. We're talking about our executive. It's big news to me.
So, so it's not true that Mighty Blackpool put forward 2 people?
No.
Nominations?
Never. Okay. Mighty Blackpool didn't put 2 persons. In fact, I'm the only person nominated in the entire process for persons aspiring for leadership position within the executive of Sierra Football Association. I'm the only person nominated by Mighty Blackpool.
Now that you have been rejected, alongside many other people that also have been rejected and disqualified, what other remedies will you seek?
We have several options or multiple options, and we are going to exhaust them. And I cannot hide behind my finger and say that no, the list is cut action. The cut action is one of the most paramount among the multiple options. However, we have seek advice, and all the people have been calling us here and there that let's use XYZ remedy. And as I speak, we are on it now. I'm using other options.
We also know that Mighty Blackpool has been faced with many challenges, financial and otherwise. And would you or the club be able to take this matter to court and successfully and come out with a successful outcome?
This is not only about Mighty Blackpool. We are talking about the integrity of football. And when you talk about football, it's a family. It's a family encompassed of all and sundry. And so the family is dissatisfied about what is ongoing. I've said it and I'll keep saying it. The process of election has been tailored by the incumbent or outgoing president and the current general secretary. This is fact because as I speak, there is a pending election, a CAF, and these people are saying that they are using both the statute of CAF and that of FIFA. Here is somebody that is vying for a position now in CAF. Yeah, this person submitted his document and the document was incomplete. Do you know what CAF did? They said go and come again and complete the process. The person was not rejected, as in my case and others. It was not because this process has been tailored to satisfy the outgoing president and the general secretary. Okay. That's why they did such.
So in your case, it's just a matter of some mistakes that you made. Is that why you were rejected?
No. According to them, I was nominated by Mighty Blackpool, seconded by Central Parade, and Article 25(3) of the Sierra Football Association says that at least one person can nominate, assuming, or let's take them by the word, that Mighty Blackpool is not fully regularized. How about the second nominee? And the statute is saying this here. And unfortunately, the appeals committee that is supposed to interpret the constitution failed to adhere to that. That's why we are so much bitter. It's not about their accommodation. No, they are very accommodative, and we are very pleased about the process. But the interpretation or the statutes, particularly that has to do with the constitution. But here, I'm hearing people saying that there is an electoral guideline, and the electoral guideline says that you should nominate one person, another person should second the nomination. And that's what the guideline is saying. But here's the situation I've always been asking them. There is the constitution here, and that of the so-called guideline, which is supreme. I think the guideline should be in consonant with the constitution, because the constitution is supreme. But people are talking about guideline. What about the constitution, which says, Article 25(3), which says that at least one person. At least one person. And now, again, we wrote several correspondences to the electoral committee prior to this nomination process, because we have seen a lot of bottlenecks in the process, and most of these things were not devolved to us, and correspondences hardly get to us from the secretariat. So we saw all those things. That's why we wrote several correspondence to the electoral committee that want to have a meeting with them. It was simple. Just having a meeting with them would have eliminated some of these bottlenecks. And I'm pretty sure that short meeting, at least once, would have taken place. We would have reached where we are today.
All right. Now, will all of you that are aggrieved or been rejected or disqualified be fighting this out as a team, or will each man fight his case for himself?
I repeat, we are using multiple options and multiple approach.
As a team or as individuals?
It could be as an individual, particularly for Batalamin Bangura, and it could be as a team. Because this thing is affecting Sierra Leone football. The membership of Sierra Leone football is not about Batalamin, Mohamed Kalon, Cashwell and Cole, Ugia Kuruma, or Mubasa, but it's affecting all of us.
Well, Bathan, I really wish you well, and I hope that you guys get to solve the impasse that you guys are going through there at the SLFA. Rather unfortunate. Now, moving on with news this afternoon, the government of President Julius Maada Bio appears to put huge importance on human capital development as the center of its development model. It has arguably become the currency of state and non-state institutions, which aims to empower their workers with the necessary knowledge and skills for effective service delivery. It also means training teachers on the ethics of their profession. So Ibrahim takes up the story.
The College of Business Studies is just a series of government and non-government institutions which currently are determined to empower its staff with the necessary skills for effective service delivery. Hence, the focus of the workshop was on human capital development with emphasis on curriculum development, professional ethics and leadership skills in managing the classroom environments by the lecturers.
As a college and as a nation, we have to quickly catch up with the trends of what happens in the wider world. So one of the things that the training has done is the PowerPoint training, which is important to us. Look at the ethical aspects yesterday we dealt with, Some of them, not that the learners, the lecturers don't know about them, but at certain times they just forget about it.
Human capital development could also mean educating or training the citizenry to harness their potential. It is a model of development central to the present government of President Bio. Besides university or academic qualification, individuals could also be empowered with the right knowledge and skills to become productive in society.
Train people based on skills, not too much of academic issues, but more of skills. And we are doing navigation skills, how to navigate a boat, a ship. And we are also doing marine engineering, which is boat construction, how to construct boats on this particular program. And we also do entrepreneurship.
The training was part of a World Bank funded project to the Ministry of Technical and Higher Education to develop the skills of technical and vocational institutions in Sierra Leone. SLBC News, Suribem Kamara.
Sierra Leone has joined other countries to commemorate the landmark 2012 London Declaration on Neglected Tropical Diseases, NTDs, which unified partners to push for greater investment and action. Well, this year's theme is We Celebrate Hard and Progress and Take Action to End the Neglected Tropical Diseases. Our intern Aliu Mansare finds out more about that.
Neglected tropical diseases are poor diseases that have been over the years not to be given the much attention needed. Such commonly known diseases include elephantiasis, ochrocasiasis onco, and river blindness, and among others. Children are the most vulnerable of these diseases, which kill, impair, and permanently disable millions of people every year, experts say. It is also said people who are mostly affected are often the poorest population living in remote rural areas, urban slums, and conflict zones where there is little access of water, sanitation, or adequate hygiene, and Sierra Leone is not an exception. But how do people contact such disease?
In Africa, where temperature is warm, moist, and sanitation is very, very poor. And where we get these diseases, for onchocerciasis, is a bite from a black fly. And for LF, is a bite from the Anopheles mosquito that do give malaria, Anopheles female mosquito. Then for Mansoni, you contact with infected water. And for worm, you contact soil, contaminated soil or contaminated water or contaminated fruit. You pick a fruit on the floor, you see that it is ripe, you don't wash, you just wipe on your clothes and you take a bite.
Even though such diseases have claimed the lives of millions of people around the globe, what is the knowledge people have so far on them?
Mainly to understanding, I know what say tropical disease now and I sick them, we say they most in a hot.
Tropical diseases are diseases we find in hot African countries, and some of them is called elephantiasis, and most of these diseases are associated with witchcraft in our particular country.
So most of them things not to witch or not to any kind of thing. I think they will be sitting at the environment.
Understand sickness looking of people there.
I understand that these are sicknesses that normally occur to people but are normally associated to witchcraft because that's what our local people believed. But most of these sicknesses is traditional.
They treat them as somebody to which person.
And disease them where often they happen to people then.
These are diseases that happen to people effectively, but we normally neglect them and we do not treat them with care. And of these are elephantiasis, which we normally call Bigfoot in our local, river blindness, and the likes. And these are normally caused by lack of medical checkup.
Because if you see you not go to hospital, oftenly, that's the cause.
Just like other diseases, prevention is believed to be very paramount in responding to such diseases.
WHO has recommended annual drug treatment. That is 2 drugs of ivermectin and albendazole for Bigfoot, and 1 drug of ivermectin for onco, albendazole for worm, praziquantel for Mansoni. Then we have environmental sanitation and health promotion, which is ongoing. And we have incorporated wash for safe water, drinking water.
Although lives have been lost to the diseases, there is hope of getting cure if affected. It is, however, a call to government ministries to prioritize national tropical diseases in central government policies, budgeting and strategize, and to establish a robust coordination mechanism between National Tropical Diseases Program and other government sectors. For SLBC News, Ali Mansari reporting.
It's now time for news from around Africa. A gun battle between militant Islamists and Somali security forces at a hotel in the capital Mogadishu is now over. At least 5 people were killed in the attack at the Afrique Hotel, which began with a car bomb on Sunday. Al-Shabaab said it was responsible. The group, which is linked to Al-Qaeda, regularly carries out attacks against the government. At least 4 attackers also died. A car hit the hotel's front entrance and detonated before gunmen stormed the building, according to officials and others at the scene. The militants targeted the Afrique Hotel despite the fact that it is in a heavily guarded area near the city's main airport. 7 orphans who were kidnapped from an orphanage on the outskirts of the Nigerian capital Abuja 2 weeks ago have been released. Gunmen stormed the orphanage in Abaji area on 23rd January and kidnapped children aged between 10 and 13. Some adults who were abducted from their homes during the incident have also been freed. Police spokesperson Mariam Yusuf has confirmed the release without giving details. The abductees were released after ransom was paid, according to a person who was part of the group that received them. But the woman who delivered the money to the gunmen was taken hostage. They looked exhausted after being freed on Sunday and were taken to a health facility for care, witnesses said. Ethiopian and Eritrean forces have waged a devastating and genocidal war in Ethiopia's Tigray region, the region's ousted leader has said. Debretsion Gebremichael urged the international community to investigate the alleged atrocities. The Ethiopian government said his claims were unfounded and his forces were guilty of horrendous crimes. Conflict broke out in November after Mr. Debretson's forces captured Ethiopian government military bases in the Tigray region. Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy responded by ordering a ground and air offensive, which led to his troops capturing the regional capital Mekele on the 28th of November. Mr. Debretson fled the capital with fighters from his Tigray People's Liberation Front and vowed to resist federal control over the region. Well, it's now time for some entertainment news.
Hello and welcome to Entertainment News. I am Cynthia Kamara. Well, today is the final day of the 3 days dancing audition organized by We Now Big Sister reality season 2 show Majo Bona of the Kokorobics. After this, we'll be talking to the CEO herself, Majo Bona of Kokorobics, to know how successful dancers that went through the audition will be selected and what benefit will they get. But in a short while, enjoy this most by Sierra Leoneans, and I'll be right back. We've seen a lot of performances by young Sierra Leoneans. So what's your plan for these people?
So Kokorobics Entertainment is a platform to promote and showcase Sierra Leoneans who have talent, and also giving them jobs through their talents, because we have so many deals, like people need commercials, people need dancers for weddings, other prestigious events, people need entertainment in the country, and they can only get it from the best. So that's why I'm forming Kokorobics Entertainment in Sierra Leone, so dancers and artists, which are creative people, can also have a job from their talent.
Okay, so after all the talent that you've seen, what exactly will you be looking forward to for them to be part of the Kokorobics Entertainment?
I'm looking for something different, out of the world creativity, something that people have never seen before.
Okay, yeah. So how are you going to do your selections? Because we've seen different people performing here.
So that is actually what we're looking for. We're looking for a different variety of dancers. And I have my executive team, the Kokolians, and we'll be doing our selections together.
So when will that be? Because I know a lot of people are out there waiting for their name to be called to be part of the Kokorobics. They can't wait at all.
Within a week or so, the latest 2 weeks, but within a week or so. Because we're putting a lot of things in place and everything is going to be really great.
Okay, so how do they know that they have qualified to be part of the Kokorobics?
We have their names and numbers and their profiles, and we'll be calling them. We'll be giving them a call. And their pictures will be placed and videos will be placed on the internet.
Okay, so what is the benefit of being part of the Kokorobics? People might want to know that.
So having talent is one thing, but being able to be exposed to the world so people can see your talent is another. Since I have the platform, a lot of people know who Mario Bona is. Through me, people will be able to see them and their ways will also be open. So also, they'll be getting jobs through Kokorobics Entertainment. For example, if an artist has a song they want to promote, our dancers do promotions. They can build dances, different creative things that can promote their songs as well. If you have an event and you need entertainment, you can hire them as well. So these are different ways they can benefit from Kokorobics Entertainment.
Apart from Celion, do you have plans for them, the one that perform well, for them to go international?
Yes, of course, and it's going to take hard work and unity. It doesn't happen right away. This is a baby company because I've started it 2015 in America, but here in Sierra Leone it's only been 3 years, and this year it has really been concrete. So we're going to take it little by little. When you want to go international, it has to be really, really solid. So we're working on putting things together. It will happen one day.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us. She is Mario Bona, the CEO herself of Kokorobics and the winner of Big Sister Reality Season 2 show. Well, I'm wishing good luck to all those that performed during the dancing audition because, as you've heard from the CEO, big things await them. So good luck to all those that perform, and that's all we have time for. I am Cynthia Kama. Goodbye.
Well, from our entertainment desk, let's now cross over to our sports desk and find out who's making the headlines in the sports world.
When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Now, the president of the Sierra Leone Mixed Martial Arts Association, Saïdou Cissé, has called on the people of Shell community to take ownership of the association. He made this call when the association opened its branch at the east end of Freetown. Mohamed Laminture has more.
The fully equipped training center for the Shell community and beyond is a way of getting raw talent from the community that will be part of the association. President of the Mixed Martial Arts Association, Saïdou Cissé, said since 2009 the association had been trying to practice in the country until now when they finally have the green light to practice the sport. The opening of the gym is for the people in the community to have access to the facilities needed to practice their talent, which will be used in representing the country.
We also officially launched our website, which is www.slmmaa.com. From there, we are planning to move to the regions so that we can market and expose the discipline all over the country.
For Councillor Ward 416 Sheku Bompa Touye, the facility will provide some employment for youth in the community to engage in doing an activity that may benefit them. Community youth leader Shell Community Ali Kama called on his colleagues to make use of the facility, which he described as timely. For SABC TV, Mohamed Lamintou reporting.
Now in the international scene, after his dismissal at Chelsea, Frank Lampard finds solace in Leeds United. Here's an opportunity for the former Chelsea boss who spent 18 months at Stamford Bridge with Leeds United now making way. According to the Leeds United manager, Marcelo, the cutthroat attitude of English teams in dismissing English manager is becoming a sign of real concern. But Frank Lampard seems to be extremely happy at Leeds United. Well, with that, we happily and nicely draw this edition of Sports of this close. I'm Abdul Kabir, and thanks for watching.
And now to end the news, a quick look at the main points again. A fire incident at Malama Thomas Street has destroyed shops with merchandise worth millions of leones. As countries observe World Wetlands Day, Sierra Leone is losing a significant portion of its own salt and freshwater wetlands. And disqualified aspirants of the SLFA presidency and vice presidency have threatened to go to court. Well, that's it for news for this noontime. On behalf of the news team, thanks for watching. Always remember to wear your face masks as coronavirus is still around and it is deadly. Until next time, I've been your presenter Kojo Kwafo saying ciao.